Let me tell you something. Some humiliations don't come with screams or insults. They come wrapped in smiles, silk envelopes, and fake kindness. For almost 3 years, Amara Lewis cleaned every corner of the Whitmore mansion. Marble floors, crystal chandeliers, rooms larger than the apartment she shared with her mother. She was always quiet, always invisible. People talked over her, past her, as if she were part of the furniture. The owner of the house, Nathan Whitmore, was a billionaire admired by everyone. Charismatic, generous in public, cruel in private. To him, Amara wasn't a person. She was the cleaning girl. One afternoon, while Amara vacuumed the hallway, Nathan walked in laughing with his friends. He stopped, looked at her, and smiled in a way that made her stomach tighten. "Amara," he said casually, "you're invited to our charity gala this Saturday." She froze. Invited? He handed her a thick gold envelope, the kind only powerful people touched. "Formal event, maximum elegance," he added, glancing at her worn shoes. "I'm sure you have something appropriate." The laughter behind him was immediate. After they left, Amara stood there holding the envelope, her hands shaking. She didn't need to open it to understand. That wasn't an invitation, it was a trap. Later that night, she overheard Nathan talking to his wife. "Let's bet," he said, "she won't show up, and if she does, she'll be the joke of the night." Amara went home that evening with the envelope still unopened. She sat on her bed staring at the wall, feeling something she hadn't felt in years. Not fear, not shame, something heavier, something unfinished. Because what Nathan Whitmore didn't know was that Amara Lewis had a past deeply connected to that mansion, and that this invitation would reopen a door he had spent years trying to keep closed. And that's when she made a decision no one expected. That night, Amara didn't sleep. The golden envelope lay open on the table, mocking her. Charity gala, Whitmore Foundation, dress code, black tie, absolute elegance. She almost laughed. Elegance was something she had only seen on television or while scrubbing floors beneath it. Her mother, Elena, noticed the envelope the moment she came into the room. "What's that?" she asked carefully. Amara hesitated, then handed it to her. Elena read it slowly. Her face lost color. "He invited you?" she whispered. "Yes," Amara replied, "but not because he wants me there." Elena sat down, gripping the paper with trembling fingers. For a long moment she said nothing. Then she looked at her daughter with eyes filled with something between fear and pain. "You don't have to go," she said softly. "You don't owe them anything." Amara nodded. She knew that was true. But something inside her refused to stay quiet. For years she had swallowed humiliation, lowered her head, cleaned rooms where she was never allowed to belong. She walked to the closet and pulled out an old garment bag hidden behind coats no one ever wore. Inside was a dress, simple, elegant, timeless. Her mother stood up so fast it startled her. "No," Elena whispered. "Yes," Amara said calmly. "It's time." "That dress," Elena began, her voice breaking, "that belongs to—" "I know who it belonged to, and I know why you hid it." Silence filled the room. "They think I'll show up ashamed. They think I'll run away. They think I don't belong." She looked directly at her mother. "But I do." Elena's eyes filled with tears. Not fear this time, pride. "Once you walk into that room," Elena said, "there's no turning back." Amara smiled, a quiet, determined smile. "I'm not going back," she replied. "I'm going forward." Because what the Whitmore saw as a joke, Amara saw as a doorway. And this time she wasn't walking in as a cleaner, she was walking in as someone who had nothing left to lose and everything to reveal. The Whitmore mansion glowed that night. Luxury cars lined the entrance, cameras flashed, laughter spilled from the grand hall where California's elite gathered in diamonds and tailored suits. Inside, Nathan Whitmore raised his glass, enjoying the attention. "She's not coming," he said confidently to a group of guests. His wife smiled, though something in her expression felt uneasy. Then the doors opened. The room didn't fall silent at first, it slowed. Heads turned, conversations broke mid-sentence, smiles froze. A woman stepped inside wearing a deep emerald dress that flowed effortlessly, hugging her posture like it had been waiting years for this moment. Her hair was elegantly styled, her movements calm, deliberate. It took a few seconds for recognition to hit. "That's her," someone whispered. "The cleaning lady?" another voice replied, confused. Amara Lewis walked forward, her heels echoing softly against the marble floor she had once scrubbed on her knees. She didn't rush, she didn't hesitate, she didn't look. Down. Nathan noticed the shift in the room and turned around mid-laugh. The smile vanished from his face. For a brief moment, his brain refused to connect the image in front of him with the woman who emptied his trash every morning. No cheap dress, no nervous posture, no shame. Instead, there was confidence, control, presence. "Well, look at that," Nathan said, forcing a laugh as he stepped forward. "You actually came." Amara stopped in front of him and met his eyes. "Yes," she replied calmly, "I did." People leaned closer, phones subtly lifted. Something was happening, and everyone could feel it. Nathan looked her up and down, searching for the weakness he expected to find. "Impressive," he added. "I didn't know you had this in you." Amara smiled politely. "There's a lot about me you don't know," she said. The words were soft, but they landed like a warning. Nathan chuckled, trying to regain control. "Well then," he said loudly, "let's make this an unforgettable night." Amara held his gaze. "Oh," she replied quietly, "it already is." And that's when Nathan decided to turn her into a spectacle, without realizing he had just invited his own downfall. Nathan lifted his glass again, the practiced smile returning to his face. "Ladies and gentlemen," he announced loudly, tapping the crystal to draw attention, "tonight we have a very special guest." Soft laughter rippled through the room. "Our hard-working cleaning lady, Amara Lewis," he continued. "We thought it would be nice to give her a taste of how the other half lives." The laughter grew louder this time, crueler. Cameras came up openly now, no shame. They wanted content. They wanted embarrassment. Amara stood still in the center of the room, dozens of eyes pinned on her. Nathan leaned closer and lowered his voice. "You can still leave," he whispered, "before this gets uncomfortable." Amara looked at him, calm and unshaken. "It already is," she replied, "just not for me." That answer caught him off guard. One of the guests, a woman dripping in diamonds, stepped forward with a fake smile. "My dear," she said sweetly, "where did you find such a dress? It's surprisingly appropriate." Amara smiled politely. "It has history," she said, "more than most things in this room." The woman laughed nervously and stepped back. Nathan cleared his throat. "Why don't you tell everyone how it feels," he said loudly, "to be surrounded by people so far above your world?" The room went silent. This was the moment they expected her to break, to stutter, to apologize for existing. Instead, Amara slowly turned, taking in the chandeliers, the polished floors, the faces filled with superiority. Then she spoke. "It feels familiar," she said. Confused murmurs spread. "I've been in rooms like this before, long before I ever cleaned them." Nathan laughed sharply. "Is that so?" "Yes," she replied, "and some of you were there too, even if you don't remember." That was when the atmosphere shifted. Not laughter now, unease. Nathan's smile tightened. "What are you talking about?" he demanded. Amara met his eyes, her voice steady but unmistakably firm. "I'm talking about things you buried and people you erased." The room went deathly quiet. Nathan felt it then, that cold realization creeping up his spine, because for the first time that night, he wasn't sure who was humiliating who. And then Amara said the one name he prayed would never be spoken again. Amara didn't raise her voice. She didn't need to. "I'm talking about Evelyn Whitmore," she said, calmly. The name sliced through the room. A few older guests stiffened. Someone dropped a glass. Nathan's face lost all color. "That's not funny. You shouldn't speak names you don't understand." Amara took a slow step forward. "Oh, I understand very well," she replied. "She was my mother." The silence that followed was heavy, suffocating. Nathan laughed nervously, but no sound came out right. "That's impossible," he said. "Evelyn Whitmore had no children."
That's the version you kept, not the truth. Whispers exploded around them. That name, wasn't she? I thought she disappeared years ago. Nathan never talks about her. Nathan's wife grabbed his arm. What is she talking about? She whispered, panic creeping into her voice. Nathan pulled his arm away. She's lying, he said loudly. A desperate employee trying to humiliate me. Amara nodded slowly. That's exactly what you said when you cut us off, when you erased us, when you decided your image mattered more than your blood. She reached into her small clutch and pulled something out. A ring. Simple. Elegant. Old. Several guests gasped. Those who knew, knew. That ring, Amara continued, holding it up, was given to my mother by your father. It was meant for family. Nathan stepped back. Where did you get that? You stole it. Amara smiled, not kindly. You can't steal what was denied to you.
You by cruelty, she said. My mother kept this until the day she died. Nathan's voice trembled. You expect us to believe a story with no proof? Amara's gaze never left him. Oh, Nathan, she said softly, do you really think I would come here with only words? She turned slightly toward the entrance. You can come in now. Every head in the room turned. The doors began to open, and whatever Nathan Whitmore had buried for decades was about to walk straight into the light. Because this wasn't a confrontation anymore. It was a reckoning. The doors opened slowly. 3 people stepped inside. At first, no one understood why Nathan froze. Then, recognition hit him like a punch to the chest. No, this can't be happening, he whispered. The first to walk forward was Michael Reed, a well-known investigative journalist. Cameras immediately turned toward him. The second was Daniel Park, a quiet man in a dark suit carrying a leather briefcase, an inheritance lawyer known for handling powerful families. The third man made Nathan stumble backward. Dr. Collins, his wife murmured. Isn't that your father's physician? The older man nodded, his face pale but determined. Yes, Dr. Collins said, and I'm done being silent. The room erupted in whispers. Nathan tried to laugh, but it came out broken. This is ridiculous, he said. What is this, some kind of show? Amara finally spoke again. No, she said, this is the end of the lie. Dr. Collins stepped forward, hands shaking. 20 years ago, he began, Henry Whitmore did not die of natural causes. The room went completely still. He was slowly poisoned, the doctor continued, over several months. I was pressured to falsify the medical records. A gasp spread like wildfire. Nathan shouted, You're insane! Michael Reed raised his phone. This confession is being recorded. Daniel Park opened his briefcase and removed a folder. We recently tested preserved medical samples, he said calmly. The results confirm arsenic poisoning. Nathan's knees buckled slightly. Amara watched him, not with anger, not with satisfaction, but with quiet resolve. My mother spent her life waiting for the truth, she said. I spent mine preparing to prove it. Nathan pointed wildly around the room. This is a setup, he screamed. She's a cleaner. Who would believe her? Michael Reed looked at him coldly. Everyone, he replied, because evidence doesn't care about status. Nathan's wife stepped away from him slowly. What did you do? She whispered. Nathan opened his mouth. No words came out, because at that moment he realized something terrifying. This wasn't chaos, it was planned, and the next thing Amara revealed would destroy not just his reputation, but his freedom. Nathan's breathing became uneven. He looked around the room, searching for an ally. There were none. People who had laughed with him minutes earlier now avoided his eyes. Phones were no longer recording for fun. They were recording for survival. Amara took one slow step forward. You always said no one would believe me, she said quietly, so I made sure belief wouldn't be necessary. She reached into her purse and pulled out her phone. Play it, she said. Michael Reed connected the device to the mansion's sound system. A moment of static. Then Nathan's voice filled the hall. Cold, controlled, familiar. You'll keep your mouth shut, Doctor. If anyone finds anything unusual in Henry's blood, your career is over. And as for that woman and her daughter, let them struggle. The recording ended. The silence afterwards was unbearable.
Nathan collapsed into a chair, sweat dripping down his face. "That's fake," he whispered. "That's edited." Daniel Park stepped forward again, calm and surgical. The audio was authenticated by 3 independent labs, along with bank transfers made days after your father's death. Images appeared on a screen behind them, wire transfers, dates, amounts. One line caught everyone's attention: payment for silence. Nathan's wife covered her mouth. "You paid him? You paid him to lie?" Nathan looked at her, desperate. "I did it for us, for the family." Amara shook her head. "You did it for yourself," she replied, "and you destroyed everyone else along the way." Michael Reed spoke again. "We also uncovered years of embezzlement," he said. "Money diverted from the company, from charities, from employee funds." A murmur of disgust rippled through the room. Amara looked at Nathan, her voice steady but heavy. "You didn't just steal an inheritance," she said. "You stole lives." Nathan buried his face in his hands. "I can fix this," he muttered. "I have money, power. We can make a deal." Amara leaned closer. "You already made a deal, and tonight it expires." Sirens echoed faintly in the distance. Nathan's head snapped up. No, not yet. But it was already too late. Because the final humiliation wasn't public disgrace, it was accountability. Sirens grew louder. At first, Nathan tried to convince himself they were passing by, that this was still something he could control. He was wrong. The doors of the mansion opened again, this time not with elegance, but authority. Police officers stepped inside, calm, focused, unstoppable. A ripple of shock ran through the guests. Nathan stood up abruptly. "You can't do this," he shouted. "This is my house." One of the officers looked at him coldly. "Not tonight, sir." Nathan turned to Amara, his voice cracking for the first time. "You wanted revenge," he said. "Congratulations, you ruined me." Amara shook her head slowly. "No," she replied. "You ruined yourself. I just stopped cleaning up after you." That sentence hit harder than any accusation. His wife stepped away from him completely now, tears streaming down her face. "Our children," she whispered. "They're already seeing this online." Nathan reached for her arm. She pulled away as if burned. "Don't touch me," she said. "I don't even know who you are." The officer approached Nathan with handcuffs. "You are being detained for questioning related to homicide, fraud, and financial crimes." The room erupted. Gasps, whispers, fear. Nathan looked around desperately at the same people who once admired him. No one stepped forward. No one defended him. As the cuffs closed around his wrists, his knees nearly gave out. Amara watched quietly. No smile, no triumph, just release. Nathan was led through the hall, the same hall where he had once mocked her, laughed at her, treated her like nothing. Now, every eye followed him in silence. Before disappearing through the doors, he turned back one last time. "This isn't over," he said weakly. Amara met his gaze. "For you," she replied calmly, "it is." The doors closed behind him, and in that moment, something shifted. Not just in the mansion, but in every person who had witnessed it. Because they weren't watching a scandal anymore. They were watching power change hands. But Amara's story wasn't ending that night. It was just beginning. The mansion no longer felt like a palace. It felt like a courtroom. People stood in small, silent groups, avoiding each other's eyes. The laughter, the music, the arrogance, everything was gone. Amara remained where she was, breathing slowly, as if she had just put down a weight she had carried her entire life. Nathan's wife approached her, her face pale. "I didn't know," she said, her voice breaking. "I swear I didn't know." Amara nodded gently. "I believe you," she replied. "You were living with a stranger." Tears rolled down the woman's face. "What happens now?" Amara looked around the room one last time. "Now," she said calmly, "the truth does what it always does. It changes things." Michael Reed was already on his phone, speaking to his editor. "This story is bigger than anyone imagined," he said. "It's not just murder, it's decades of corruption." Daniel Park approached Amara with a folder. "The original will has been validated," he said. "Everything Nathan took illegally can be reversed." Amara exhaled slowly. "My mother waited her whole life for this," she said quietly. "She died believing justice never comes." Daniel met her eyes. "It does. Sometimes it just takes time and courage." Outside, reporters gathered. Cameras pointed at the mansion like weapons of light. Amara stepped onto the balcony, feeling the night air on her skin. One journalist shouted, "Was this revenge?" She paused. "No," Amara replied firmly. "Revenge would have made me like him." She looked straight into the cameras. "This is justice, and justice doesn't need cruelty. It needs truth." Inside the mansion, the guests slowly began to leave, their expensive clothes unable to protect them from the shame of having laughed earlier that night. Amara watched them go. Some looked back at her with fear, others with respect, but none with superiority anymore, because they all understood something now. The woman they had mocked had just rewritten the rules of power in front of them, and in the months that followed, the world would see exactly what Amara would build from the ruins he left behind. 6 months later, the Whitmore building looked different. The walls were brighter, the offices felt alive. People smiled, not out of fear, but because they were finally respected. Amara Lewis sat in what used to be Nathan Whitmore's office. The desk was the same. The power was not. Nathan had been sentenced to decades in prison. Fraud, murder, corruption. Everything he had hidden came to light. Everything he had stolen was taken back. And for the first time, the Whitmore empire belonged to someone who understood what it meant to struggle. Amara didn't fire people out of revenge. She promoted the invisible ones. Cleaners became supervisors. Assistants became executives. Wages became fair. Voices became heard. Productivity soared, not because people were afraid, but because they were valued. One afternoon, her assistant knocked gently.
"Ms. Lewis," she said, smiling, "the press wants another interview." Amara shook her head. "I'm not interested in being famous for pain," she replied. "I want to be known for what we're building." Later that evening, Amara returned home, not to a mansion, but to a warm house filled with laughter. 2 children ran to her, homework in their hands. Kids who, like her once, had been forgotten by the world. As she tucked them in, Amara thought of her mother, of the dress, of the silence, of the years spent waiting for justice. Nathan tried to humiliate a cleaning woman. Instead, he revealed the most dangerous truth of all, that dignity can't be erased, that power built on cruelty always collapses, and that the person everyone ignores is often the one changing everything in silence. Amara turned off the light, closed the door, and smiled. Her victory wasn't destroying a man. It was proving that when justice leads, everyone rises.